everyone, Novels Wonderland here. Thank you all for the love and support you've shown me and the channel.
Chat Group Son of Yotsuba Maya, Chapter 49 to 52, 049 Passion with Miyuki. Mayumi and Mari sat in silence, their eyes glued to the surveillance footage showing the intense clash between Tatsuya and Mikihiko. So, what do you think? Mayumi asked, breaking the silence. Mari took a slow, deep breath before answering with a heavy, serious tone. Mikihiko has become too strong. Honestly, he might even be able to take me down. Mayumi nodded in grim agreement. Her crimson eyes remained fixed on the monitor as she murmured under her breath, "Do you think this change is linked to the Black Mist incident?" "Most likely," Mari replied. Even though Mayumi had spoken softly, Mari had caught every word. If the 10 master clans find out about this, it'll cause a complete uproar. Mari nodded again, the weight of the situation sinking in. "We didn't see anything today, right?" With a final nod, Mayumi reached out and clicked the monitor off. The two of them packed their things and headed home together, leaving the dark room behind. "Hanami, why are you so skilled at this?" Hanami let out a satisfied smile after swallowing the thick, white liquid that had filled her mouth. "It is all for the sake of satisfying you, Tatsuya-sama." "Thank you. You've certainly satisfied me." Hanami couldn't help the giddy smile that spread across her beautiful face. Suddenly, Tatsuya's eyes narrowed. "Tatsuya-sama?" Hanami asked, noticing the shift in his mood. "Hanami, you should leave. Miyuki is on her way here." A flash of pure panic crossed Hanami's face. Hanami scrambled, rushing out of Tatsuya's room as fast as she could. Only a few seconds after she vanished, a soft knock came from the door. "Oni-sama, it's Miyuki." "Excuse me." The moment she stepped into the room, Miyuki's nose twitched. A strange, unfamiliar scent caught her attention, sparking an immediate curiosity. "Oni-sama, what is that smell?" Tatsuya felt a cold sweat break out. He had completely forgotten about the lingering scent. "I was just exercising." "Maybe it's just sweat." Miyuki narrowed her beautiful eyes, her expression thick with disbelief. "Believe it or not, Oni-sama's sweat actually smells wonderful. This is definitely not the scent of your sweat." "How exactly do you know what my sweat smells like?" Miyuki froze. In an instant, her face turned as red as a ripe apple. "That's because..." Seeing her flustered and struggling to find an answer, Tatsuya decided to stop pressing her. "Forget I asked. We're always together anyway, so it's only natural you'd know." Tatsuya gave her a gentle, affectionate smile. Miyuki's heart melted instantly, like a block of ice dropped into magma. She couldn't contain the joy bubbling up inside her, and it radiated clearly across her face. The word slipped out of Tatsuya's mouth before he could stop it. Miyuki's blush deepened even further. "Anyway, did you need something?" Tatsuya asked, trying to steer the conversation back. Miyuki shook her head vigorously, as if trying to shake off her embarrassment. "The thing is..." Seeing her hesitate, Tatsuya waited patiently. "Oni-sama, if it's all right. Miyuki would like to sleep here tonight." Miyuki blinked, her eyes turning watery and upturned, looking as if she might burst into tears if he said no. Tatsuya was completely defenseless against that look. He sighed inwardly and gave in. "But don't overdo it. Oni-sama." The next morning, Tatsuya woke up to find himself wrapped in Miyuki's slender arms. She was still fast asleep, her face resting right next to his. Tatsuya didn't have the heart to wake her up, she looked too peaceful. "Oni-sama." Even in her sleep, she called out his name with pure affection. Tatsuya turned his head to look at her. Their noses were so close they were almost touching. Miyuki's eyelids fluttered a few times before slowly opening. The moment she saw Tatsuya, she didn't say a word. Instead, she pouted her lips slightly and closed her eyes again. At first, Tatsuya was confused, but as his gaze fell on her shimmering, pink lips, a bold thought took hold of him. Without hesitation, he leaned in and pressed his lips against hers. They felt warm, soft, and sweet. Simply touching lips wasn't enough for him. He began to use his tongue, his hands wandering instinctively over her body. When Tatsuya's hand reached her backside, Miyuki's body gave a violent shudder of pure ecstasy. The moment she had waited so long for to finally share this kind of intimacy with the one she adored was finally happening. Who could blame her for being overwhelmed? The two of them began to push further, their bodies pressed tightly together as the kiss deepened. Just as Tatsuya was about to start removing her clothes, the door swung open. Hanami walked in, holding a large tablet. My getting so heated up so early in the morning. That's not very good, especially since you're both still students. The voice of Maya Yotsuba boomed like thunder in their ears. In a heartbeat, the two of them scrambled apart, sitting bolt upright on the bed in a perfect, stiff posture. Tatsuya looked hesitantly at the tablet screen in Hanami's hand. Maya's smiling face filled the display. She looked incredibly beautiful, and absolutely terrifying. To be continued. Advance Chapter P** Tray *N. com/Agamup 0 to Chapter 50, 050 Warnings 1010 words. I've been aware of the nature of your relationship from the very beginning. While I don't necessarily mind it, you two mustn't get carried away this early. Maya's voice was ice-cold and laced with an unmistakable authority. Tatsuya and Miyuki remained in a stiff seiza position on the floor, their eyes fixed on the tablet screen held by Hanami. Our deepest apologies. Tatsuya began, his voice low. Oni-sama did nothing wrong. If anyone is to blame, it was I who initiated it, Miyuki interjected without a second's hesitation, shielding her brother from Maya's gaze. A faint, cryptic smile played on Maya's lips. I'm not angry. I'm simply worried that you'll both get swept up in the heat of the moment and forget yourselves. Tatsuya lowered his head further, a rare look of guilt crossing his face. Very well. Just make sure you keep today's warning in mind. Understood. Hanami, I'll leave the rest to you. As you wish, Lady Maya. With that, Maya abruptly ended the video call. Tatsuya and Miyuki finally let out the breaths they had been holding, though a thick layer of awkwardness remained, especially with Hanami standing right there. Miyuki-sama, the bath is ready for you, Hanami announced softly. Thank you, Hanami-san. Miyuki offered a gentle, somewhat sheepish smile before bowing and scurrying out of Tatsuya's room. Once they were alone, Hanami moved to Tatsuya's side. She leaned in, her voice a sultry whisper, as her eyes drifted toward the conspicuous bulge in his trousers. Does Tatsuya-sama require some assistance? Tatsuya winced slightly, looking away. Just make it quick. Hanami's face lit up with a brilliant, predatory smile. It would be my absolute pleasure. She sank to her knees before him, her fingers working deftly to undo his belt and release the heat that was straining against the fabric. It seems the little master is just as energetic as always. It can't be helped, can it? I am a healthy young man, after all. Ufufu, that is very true. Without another word, Hanami parted her lips and took him inside. 20 minutes later, Hanami was in the dining hall, watching the other maids finish their breakfast. Aren't you going to eat, Lady Hanami? One of them asked, noticing her empty plate. Hanami covered her mouth with her palm, a faint, satisfied glow about her. No, thank you. I'm still quite full. Is that so? Suddenly, one of the younger maids blinked, leaning in closer. Lady Hanami, what's that white, viscous liquid on your cheek? Hanami flinched. With lightning-fast reflexes, she wiped the stray drop with her finger and popped it into her mouth before anyone else could get a good look. Lady Hanami? The maid asked, confused by the sudden movement. Hanami offered a thin, sharp smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Be quiet and finish your breakfast. Why yes, ma'am. The maid didn't dare ask another question, hurriedly shoveling the rest of her meal down. Interestingly enough, that same maid found herself assigned the lightest workload of the day. It wasn't a coincidence, but rather a small token of gratitude from Hanami for the timely reminder. Group mission published, stop the Black Mist invasion at the 9 schools competition. Rewards scaled to performance. Maximum, 5 participants. The silence of the dimensional chat group was shattered by the notification ringing in every member's mind. Time Eater, finally, a group mission. This is my chance to finally visit another world. Sword Princess, I've been looking forward to this. White, the 9 schools competition. I'm certain I've heard that name somewhere before. Makoto, that's the event in Tatsuya's world, right? Tatsuya Yotsuba, correct. If you all decide to come, I'll be happy to host you. Time Eater, what are you talking about? Of course I'm coming. Sword Princess, me too. I want to see the difference between a modern world and a medieval one like ours, just like you described. White, as for me, I just want to meet you in person. Tatsuya Yotsuba, me. White, who else? You're the most fascinating human I've ever analyzed. I want to see you with my own eyes at least once. Makoto, I'm just hoping I can get my hands on some manga and anime from your world. Tatsuya Yotsuba, don't worry. I'll make sure to stock up on everything from the pre-war era to the present. Makoto, you're the best, Aniki. Tatsuya-kun. Mayumi's voice snapped Tatsuya back to reality. He turned his head and momentarily lost his train of thought. Mayumi was dressed in casual clothes that did absolutely nothing to hide the deep curve of her cleavage. One should never let her height fool them. Mayumi was the type of woman whose petite frame only served to accentuate her impressively generous bust. It was a level of charm that no man, not even Tatsuya, could simply ignore. Tatsuya felt a sudden pressure in his nose. Before anything embarrassing could happen, he tilted his head back and pinched his nostrils shut. He, Tatsuya-kun, what's wrong? Mayumi teased with a mischievous grin, intentionally pressing her chest against his arm. Mayumi-san. Please behave yourself. Miyuki, who was sitting on Tatsuya's other side, immediately barked a reprimand. Why is Miyuki so angry? I was just having a little fun with Tatsuya-kun. Oni-sama belongs to me. I won't let you have him all to yourself. He, well then, why don't we just share him? Miyuki froze, caught off guard by the suggestion. Seizing the moment, Mayumi slid Tatsuya's arm right into the valley of her breasts. Not wanting to be outdone, Miyuki's competitive spirit flared up, and she mirrored the action on the other side. Tatsuya could only let out a long, weary sigh, even as he found himself lost in the sensation of the warmth and softness pressing against both his arms. They were currently on a bus, heading straight toward the venue of the 9 schools competition. I just hope nothing goes wrong, Tatsuya thought to himself. To be continued. Advents Chapter P** Tray** N. com/agamup0 to Chapter 51, 051 spoiled together. 1059 words, Oni-sama. Tatsuya-kun. I'll handle this. Tatsuya reached out his hand into the empty air, his movements fluid and precise, before slowly pulling it back as if retrieving something invisible. Jumanji Katsudo remained seated in total silence. Even though he was perfectly aware of the incident that had just unfolded right before his eyes, he didn't utter a single word. It had all happened in the blink of an eye, so fast that no ordinary bystander would have even noticed. In fact, the only reason anyone might have caught on was because the military was lurking nearby. Oni-sama. Miyuki whispered, her voice trembling. Don't worry about it. I was just taking out the trash. Tatsuya's voice was frigid, dripping with an indifference that felt sharper than any blade. Miyuki shivered, a wave of genuine fear washing over her as she took in her brother's icy demeanor. Realizing he had let his guard down and frightened her, Tatsuya's expression softened instantly. He reached out and gently stroked Miyuki's head. Forgive me. I got a little carried away by the atmosphere. The effect was instantaneous. Miyuki's face lit up with a brilliant smile, her previous fear vanishing as if it had never existed in the first place. I understand, Oni-sama. You have nothing to worry about. That smile was always the best medicine for him. At the very least, the moment Tatsuya saw it, his mind felt clear and refreshed, as if his very soul had been purified by holy water. Tatsuya-kun, what about the military? Mayumi cut in, her brow furrowed with concern. They're definitely going to demand an explanation for what you just did. But don't stress over it. They won't dare lay a finger on me, not in a million years. Tatsuya replied, a confident, slightly mocking smirk playing on his lips. Mayumi found herself momentarily breathless at the sight, while Miyuki simply watched him with eyes full of pure, unadulterated adoration. Was that just now? Tatsuya Yotsuba's magic. It's terrifying. No kidding. Tatsuya Yotsuba is a strategic class magician. He's not someone we can afford to mess with. I get that, but haven't we already started messing with him? Maybe not. Whatever the case, orders from the top are absolute. We have to keep a close eye on him during the 9 schools competition. The soldiers felt their spirits sink. Even though they were committed to following their orders, a heavy sense of dread hung over them. Back on the bus, a dangerous glint flickered in Tatsuya's eyes as he let out a small, sharp smile. Mayumi and Miyuki were preoccupied with their own conversation, so they didn't catch the predatory look on his face. Tatsuya-san, I'll be in your care. Onoka approached him, her voice soft and shy. She had come over with her best friend, Shizuku, to greet him. Tatsuya's expression shifted instantly, his face melting into a gentle, kind smile that made him look like the most warm-hearted person in the world. The pleasure is mine. Thank you for trusting me with your CAD. Hee, I'm just really happy to be working with you, Tatsuya-san. Onoka couldn't help herself, she broke into a silly, giddy grin right in front of him. Even with that goofy look on her face, Onoka was undeniably cute, reminiscent of a large, fluffy animal. And when I say large, it's definitely not a comment about her chest size. You too, Shizuku. Shizuku blushed slightly, raising her hand to flash him a small peace sign. What about the others? Tatsuya asked. Everyone's excited, but they're also nervous they couldn't bring themselves to come over and say hi. Honestly, Onoka was too scared to move at first, but I gave her a little push. Tatsuya gave a thin, amused smile. That sounds like you, Shizuku. Praise me more. You're amazing, Shizuku. Very reliable. More. Tatsuya reached out and patted Shizuku's head. The texture of her hair felt different from Miyuki's, but it was just as addictive to touch. Shizuku's face turned bright red, practically like a ripe tomato, and it almost looked like thick white steam was whistling out of her head from pure embarrassment. Must be nice. Onoka muttered, her voice laced with envy. Despite how quiet she was, Tatsuya heard her loud and clear. He turned his gaze toward her, and Onoka froze, quickly covering her mouth with a flustered expression. Did you hear that? No need to be shy, come here. I'll give you some head pats too. Onoka's face flushed, but she happily lowered her head, making it easier for Tatsuya to reach. She started giggling again, her curvy figure looking as though it might literally melt from sheer happiness. The other female students under Tatsuya's care peeked over, eyes burning with jealousy. Even Miyuki pouted just a little, despite having received countless head pats herself. On the other hand, Mayumi was fuming. She had been by Tatsuya's side this whole time, yet everyone else was getting the affection. It was completely unacceptable. Chat room Makoto, Tatsuya is way too popular. When is it going to be my turn to be like him? Time eater, era mama, what a sinful man he is. Makoto, is it just me, or did the room just get really cold suddenly? White, I don't get it. Is it really that fun for men and women to flirt like that? Makoto, what do you think? Makoto, don't ask me. I've never even been on a date, so how should I know? White, wow. You're useless. Makoto, hey. Sword Princess, my chest feels tight, am I sick? Makoto, tight chest. I don't think you're sick, I think it's more like. Tatsuya Yotsuba, ahem. How are your preparations coming along? Time Eater, going great. White, yeah, whatever. Sword Princess, same here. Makoto, is it just my imagination, or are you guys acting really cold all of a sudden? Tatsuya Yotsuba, don't point it out. You're just adding fuel to the fire. Makoto, ah. Tatsuya Yotsuba, good grief. Tatsuya's consciousness snapped back to reality as Miyuki gently nudged him awake. A warm, radiant smile was there to greet him. Oni-sama, we've arrived. Thanks, Miyuki. You're very welcome. It's always a pleasure to wake you up, Oni-sama. To be continued. Advents Chapter P** Tray *N, com/AGAMUP02. Chapter 52, 052 Silent Dominance. Just as in the original story, a grand banquet was held to welcome the students arriving from the 9 magic schools. As the prince of the Yotsuba, Tatsuya immediately became the focal point of every gaze the moment he made his entrance with Miyuki by his side. I knew it, the Yotsuba prince really is in a league of his own compared to ordinary magicians like us. Of course he is. I've heard whispers that he's the strongest young mage in existence, standing even above the Crimson Prince, Ichiju. It's not just his overwhelming magical prowess, Prince Yotsuba possesses the kind of looks that could make any man burn with envy. You're right about that. To be perfectly honest, he is exactly my ideal type of husband. Don't even bother dreaming. Prince Yotsuba already has a queen standing right beside him. Your level is far too low to even think about competing with her, so don't go hoping you can ever stand by his side. I know. I was just joking around. You sounded plenty serious to me. I bet everyone here was thinking the exact same thing. Even if that were true, it's none of your business. As the hall grew increasingly noisy with gossip and bickering, Tatsuya let out a helpless, weary sigh. Without a word, he released a surge of his own psions into the surroundings. An invisible, heavy pressure one that could only be perceived by fellow magicians rippled through the entire ballroom. The sudden weight in the air caused the chatter to die down instantly. Once the commotion had settled, Tatsuya immediately retracted the psion waves that had been cloaking his body. It was worth noting that such a feat could only be performed by someone possessing a truly monstrous psion capacity. While Miyuki was capable of mimicking the technique after receiving direct tutelage from Tatsuya, she could only maintain it for a fleeting moment due to the limits of her own psion reserves. Watching the scene unfold, Mayumi and Mari eventually approached him. Tatsuya, couldn't you at least try to hold yourself back a little? Mari asked, her voice laced with exasperation. Hold back? I thought I already was, Tatsuya replied flatly. Mari found herself defeated by his very first retort. Tatsuya-kun really is incredible. Releasing that much psion pressure still seems like child's play to you. Unlike Mari, Mayumi had approached him solely to offer her praise. A faint smile played on Tatsuya's lips as he gave a small, satisfied nod in response to Mayumi's compliment. Suddenly, his gaze shifted, turning sharply toward the stage. Prince Yotsuba, please, have mercy and give this old man a little breathing room, Kudoretsu said, his tone sounding quite strained. I haven't done anything. I was simply looking in your direction. Tatsuya offered a casual, nonchalant smile as he responded to Retsu's plea. Kudoretsu could only manage a bitter smile before proceeding to give his welcoming address to the gathered students. In a departure from the original story, Retsu did not perform his usual small demonstration of magic. Truth be told, he had every intention of doing so, but he found himself completely paralyzed by Tatsuya's piercing gaze. Even for someone as legendary as Kudoretsu, standing under Tatsuya's watch made him feel like nothing more than an ant trapped in the palm of a giant. On the surface, Retsu appeared composed, but internally, his heart was trembling with a deeply hidden fear. What a terrifying child. On his own, he is already more formidable than the entirety of the 10 master clans combined, Retsu muttered to himself as he retreated toward his private chambers. Makoto, Tatsuya, what exactly did you just do? Tatsuya Yotsuba, you didn't notice. Seriously? Makoto, is there something wrong with that? I was busy trying to break up a fight between Mio and Tomo, so I didn't see things very clearly. Tatsuya Yotsuba, I simply dismantled his magic before it could even activate. Makoto, how did you manage to do that without leaving a single trace? Tatsuya Yotsuba, let's just call it a specialized skill. Makoto. Tatsuya Yotsuba, by the way, what were Mio and Tomo fighting about this time? Don't tell me they were bickering over who gets to take your virginity. It sounds like you're going to have a very busy night. Makoto, as if. They were busy arguing over who gets to be the leader while I'm away. Don't go making wild guesses like that. Tatsuya Yotsuba, right, I get it. Anyway, I have a bit of advice for you. Makoto, advice. Tatsuya Yotsuba, as a leader, you need to be firm. But as a man, you need to be more sensitive to the feelings of women like Tomo and Mio. Makoto. Time eater, indecisive men are quite annoying, if you ask me. White, I actually quite like them but only as toys to play with. Sword Princess, I'm not a big fan of indecisive men either. Tatsuya Yotsuba, there you have it, straight from the 3 queens of this group. What do you think? Makoto, I understand. I'll do my best to give them a proper answer. Tatsuya Yotsuba, good. Just don't take too long. Makoto, I'll try. Tatsuya Yotsuba, how are the rest of you faring with your preparations? Time eater, era, I'm ready to head out whenever you are. White, I've been ready for a while now. Sword Princess, same here. Since I'll be visiting a modern world, I've even prepared some specially made clothes for the occasion. Tatsuya Yotsuba, excellent. I'll be summoning you all shortly, so stay ready. Makoto, you still need a bit more time, right? Makoto, yeah, I'll contact you as soon as I'm set. To be continued. Anvins Chapter P** Tray *N. com/AgumUP02. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Novels Wonderland.